This is the Transportation TV News Update. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting. Two top transportation professionals, former USDOT Secretaries Norman Mineta and Samuel K, lent their names and expertise to a report released Wednesday by the Miller Center of Public Affairs at the University of Virginia. Center Director Gerald Belisle says the report's title, Well Within Reach, America's New Transportation Agenda, was chosen because the authors of the report wanted to send a clear message to Congress.
People are very upset these days about government bailouts, but the government is now bailing out the Highway Trust Fund, a fund that was supposed to be sufficient to take care of our transportation needs. This country is running out of money to address transportation issues. This report shows that it is within reach. The solutions are within reach if we have public understanding, public support, and the political will.
The two former secretaries were among a nonpartisan group of top industry experts who attended a conference last year to help draft the Miller Center report and its list of 10 recommendations for improving transportation. A key recommendation, says Mineta, is for America to shift to a vehicle miles traveled, or VMT fee, to replace the current gas tax, which pays for federal highway and transit programs.
Well, the gasoline tax, as we know it, is not a sustainable source of revenue. Cars are going to be powered by other than gasoline, so we've got to be able to somehow recover from the electric vehicle or a hydrogen fuel cell that still takes up road, still requires bridges, and so we've got to get to something other than gasoline tax.
The report concludes that without improved transportation infrastructure across America, the ability to move people and goods will be negatively affected, making it more difficult for the nation to compete with the rest of the world. Secretary Mineta says gaining congressional approval will be difficult because transportation doesn't seem to be a top priority.
Well, it's the Ways and Means Committee that's going to have to handle this, and I remember talking to the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and he said that wasn't even on his radar at the time. So again, we've got to get the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee to address this.
Well, we have ways to go. How we're going to get there and when, I don't know. We're going to look for the opportunity. We're going to educate the American people and look for the opportunity and then get some leadership in either the administration or the Congress. And if we have that leadership at the right time, it'll happen.
Secretary Skinner added it could take weeks or even years before a new bill is approved. To read the complete report and its 10 recommendations, go to millercenter.org/policy/transportation. The issue of transportation funding reached the tipping point in New Jersey this week. Republican Governor Christie, who took office in January, halted one of the largest transportation projects in the country, a new $8.7 billion rail tunnel under the Hudson River, linking New Jersey and New York City's Midtown Manhattan. At a news conference Thursday, Christie told reporters that the state could not afford the project because recent cost estimates determined the project could go from $2 to $5 billion over budget. Christie said, "We simply can't spend what we don't have. I had to figure out how I was going to pay for it, and we simply can't." And finally this week, decreasing the nation's dependence on foreign oil, reducing carbon emissions, and ensuring America remains competitive in the global economy are just some of the outcomes the Federal Railroad Administration says could be realized from the first ever National Rail Plan. Moving Forward, a progress report, has just been released by the FRA. It updates the work being done on both freight and passenger rail systems. This week we sat down with FRA Administrator Joe Szabo to discuss Moving Forward. He says the report calls for a balanced and fully interconnected transportation network that will allow for the safe, efficient, and seamless movement of people and goods.
Well, it's important to show all the stakeholders that we're continuing to make progress on the preparation of the National Rail Plan, and really how important that the message is. Rail is going to have to play an ever-growing role as part of a balanced transportation network, whether we're talking about moving goods or people. we're going to have tremendous population growth over the next decade, next couple of decades. Roughly 70 million additional people in the mega regions. And how are we going to move them? How are we going to move the products that they consume? How are we going to do all of these things while also reducing our dependence on oil, reduce congestion, and improve air quality? And rail has some very inherent advantages, and so we thought it was important to tell the progress made to date.
Szabo says the progress report is a continuation of the preliminary National Rail Plan mandated by the Passenger Rail Improvement and Investment Act of 2008 and submitted to Congress in October 2009. More than 1,500 people, experts, and private citizens participated in a 12-city listening tour as part of the progress report. Once the final report is completed, Szabo says it will include a strategy for high-speed and intercity passenger rail.
Well, we believe that it's critical that ultimately, as we continue to do our work, that we have the appropriate estimates for what, and particularly in the high-speed rail piece, what the costs are going to be as we project the network. And we're looking at a tiered approach, depending on markets, depending on population densities, depending on the distance and radiuses, through this tiered approach, whether it's the true 220 mile per hour high-speed rail that best serves the market, or whether it's regional high-speed rail service at 125 mile an hour, or in smaller markets, whether it's conventional service. So we need to determine where each of these tiered services best serve the transportation needs of the market, estimate costs, and obviously for this to move forward, it's going to be important that we have a dedicated funding source.
Szabo says delivery of the final draft of the National Rail Plan is still months away. You can hear more of Administrator Szabo's interview soon. Watch for his video on the View from the Administration channel right here on Transportation TV. And to read moving forward, go to fra.dot.gov. That's the Transportation TV News Update. Thanks for watching.